Family and Consumer Science.
Mr.Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight, never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed. Get your elbows off the table, this ain't a horse table.
Hello, hello, hello. Mr. G, Family and Consumer Science Show. If you're taking the quiz, we are on part 2 of food handling. Please, this will be number 21 to 40. All right? You can put this on the same paper that we started with. It's a beautiful day here today in Family and Consumer Science Television Land. Good time to review some safety when you're eating some food and storing some food. Great information to have. Let us start with number 21. Today I'll be playing along with Brendan. Hello, Brendan.
Hello.
Brendan will be agreeing or disagreeing with the answers. Please put down, as we spoke of before, if you agree with the consensus that me and Brendan agree on, put agree. If you think that's the wrong thing, put disagree, and then we'll give you the correct answer. It's just kind of fun to do it that way. If you scratch it out, obviously I want you to put the correct answer down when all said and done on your papers. But if I see a few scratches on your paper, that means you're playing along at home and playing along and having some fun in Family Consumer Science Television. Here we go. Number 21. Cook poultry, being chicken, duck, must reach what internal temperature? And this is a very, very big number in the world of cooking. Internal temperature meaning, if this is the internal food thermometer, I wish I would have brought one with me, but I didn't. And here, the chicken bone again we did last time. And you're going to put it into the thickest part as we learned last time. Okay? We want to get to the thickest part of the piece of meat, the meat loaf, the chicken, whatever you're cooking. And if it's at its thickest part and it reaches either 135, 145, 155, 165. Brendan, I'm opening it up to you. What do you feel is a good temperature for that internal temperature of chicken to kill a...
165.
You said that with a lot of confidence, Brendan.
I'm very confident.
You're very confident in that, and I want to agree with you. So if you agree with me and Brendan that 165 is the correct answer, please put down agree, 165. We'll wait a second for everybody to put that down. And agree or disagree. And okay, good. And the answer is agree. 165 is a huge number in Family Consumer Science, a huge number when we're cooking. That's the temperature where not all, but most bacteria cooks off. And chicken is just naturally salmonella in its raw state. I mean, you really got to make sure you're dealing with your poultry in the correct way. Number 22. At what minimum temperature must hot TCS food be held at? TCS. That means temperature controlled service. So when you go to a buffet or you're holding something in a holding dish at a restaurant, buffets, they all should be being held at what temperature? So say your friend's coming over having some chicken and he's coming over in about, an hour and a half. Are you going to leave that on the table? Or are you going to make sure it's sitting at what temperature after it has already reached the internal temperature 165, but you want to hold it safely? Do you want to hold that safely at 135 degrees, 120, 110, or 70? Okay? Think about when you go to a buffet, and you should be seeing some steam coming up around the pans that are in the buffet, and also when you're holding it. Brendan, what are you thinking?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark. I've never heard of this before, but was 120 one of the choices?
120 is one of the choices, yeah.
All right, lock me in for 120.
Okay, and I'm gonna go with Brendan on 120 on that. Should food be held at 120? 120. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree, and put down the right number that you think it might be. If it is not indeed 120, this is a tough one. The number ones are tough. Once you know it, you know it. Answer being 135. You should have disagreed with that. So put agree now. And the temperature should be at 135 degrees. You should be seeing some steam coming around on those buffets. Or if you're holding food for somebody, you could either hold it in like a water bath. You could hold it in your oven at 130 if you're waiting for people to come over. All right. So those are great numbers to know. Let's move on to number 23. Ready to eat food. TCS foods that will be held for longer than 24 hours must be labeled with a date and the food. Let me read that again. Food that will be held for longer than 24 hours must be labeled with the date, the food, what. So let's say you get in something from your refrigerator. Restaurants must date their food. They got to put on there when you should throw out the food, the date, when the food was prepared, or when it was purchased. So let's think now. You get some chicken in your house, yeah, or you're getting some chicken in if you're working at a restaurant. A couple boxes of it. You should put a date on there. You should put a date on boxes. Okay, large boxes of eggs, large boxes of chicken, milk. And that is usually sometimes called the expiration date. And on the expiration date, what do you think, Brendan, on that one? I know I'm going to complicate it a little bit. Should you put the date on when you're going to throw it out, or should you put the date on it of when it was prepared?
I would have to go when it was prepared.
When it was prepared, okay. Interesting. I'm going to try to throw you in another direction, and let's think about this, Brendan. Let's say we're going to, you get it in, you get the chicken in, and you see the small expiration date on there, okay? So if you see that date, I'm really pushing you forwards. When you got that date and you see that date on milk or on chicken, to throw it out. That's the date you want to throw. Now, the expiration date may say throw it out, let's say May 5th, okay? But if you, on May 5th, it still might be okay if that's the expiration date. So you want to put on what's the actual date that you should definitely throw it out. Rule of thumb on chicken, the expiration date, you could probably go a week, maybe 2 weeks. But if I get in chicken and I get different boxes of chicken, I'm going to see the expiration date, and I'm probably going to bump it up a couple, maybe a week in the refrigerator, in the food safety zone. So what am I trying to say, Brendan? Throw it out is what I would go with. Jump aboard. Do you agree now? Did I sway you in any particular way?
I'm a little more confused.
Okay.
I feel like that I've seen expiration dates or sell-by or best by dates.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Those are all the
Best
same thing, just different lingo.
best by date, expiration date, and what was the other one?
Sell-by date?
Sell-by date. Those are dates that you don't have to throw out the food. So if you get something in the sell-by date, the expiration date is the day you bought it or 2 days after the day you bought it, more than likely, if it's been stored correctly, it should be okay.
Okay, now I understand.
So when you get in, let's say, some fresh hamburger, the expiration date is probably a week before. You usually get hamburger, and do you check the expiration date when you buy hamburger at the store, Brenda?
Of course.
Right, and a lot of people don't. But you got to look at that and say, okay, but if it's been frozen from the get-go, they have what's called previously frozen, and you can buy hamburger frozen or chicken frozen. You can go past the expiration date on frozen chicken as long as it was fresh when it was frozen for maybe even 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. So that I think I'm losing. I want to focus back in on our quiz. So you need to put the date on your food of when you should be thrown out. Okay, with technology, what we have it today, we should be able to look on our phones and see, hey, when is chicken should be thrown out on the expiration date, and it'd probably say 2 to a month. But the answer when you get if we do a quiz on this, it should be the date you're going to throw it out, not the day that you got it in. What is the correct temperature for receiving cold foods? Okay. You go shopping and you reach into the chicken or the hamburger. The hamburger and chicken should be at what temperature when you buy it? Should it be 41 degrees Celsius and below, or 41 degrees Celsius above 41, like 42, 43, 44 degrees? What do you think, Brendan? I'm going to go with, I think, since the refrigerator should be 32 to 41 degrees, I'm saying that we want to hold our cold foods from 41 to 30 degrees.
I would agree with that.
That is correct. That's the temperature of your refrigerator is 32, which is freezing, to 41, which is considered the food safety zone. But food still can go bad in a refrigerator. It just takes longer. When you go in, you're not going to buy some hamburger that feels warm or feels at room temperature. That should sway you guys away from that particular food. And you never know. It might be. Okay, let's move on. Answer of that one, 41 Fahrenheit and lower. 25, what is the correct way to thaw foods? Thaw foods. Can you thaw foods as part of the cooking process? Can you take a hamburger, put it on the skillet, and then slowly bring it to temperature and defrost it? Brendan, have you ever cooked a frozen hamburger?
No.
In its frozen state?
I have not, but I'm also not the cook of the house.
But you can definitely do that, though.
I didn't know that.
It's a little more time consuming. You have to bring it slowly up to temperature so it's all cooked. So the correct way to thaw foods are, you can cook it and warm it up. You can also leave it in the fridge and let it thaw out there. Get a frozen pack of chicken, frozen hamburger. I know I'm going to have it the next day. You put it into your refrigerator from your freezer because the freezer's holding it longer. Put it in the refrigerator and you let that defrost in the refrigerator. So that's two ways to prepare frozen foods. Okay? So the answer to that will be part of the cooking process and defrost it in the refrigerator. Number 26, food containing an allergen comes in contact with another food item and their proteins mix. What is this called? Now, there's a big debate between cross-contamination and cross-contact. Very tough to go back. People have been going back and forth with that. The answer for this one would be cross-contact. Now, cross-contamination is very, very close to cross-contact. Okay? Cross-contamination or cross-contact is when an allergen comes in contact with something and touches it. Cross-contamination would be if I'm cutting tomatoes and then use that same board to cut hamburger. Okay? It could go either way, but you need to know that germs move from one thing to another. If I coughed on this table and I've been touching this table, all right, you wouldn't expect me to take a Twinkie or something to eat, or put a sandwich on this board and eat it. Okay, that would be cross contact. Okay, but they're both pretty much the same. But the answer on the quiz is cross contact. Number 27. So you would agree with me. To prevent cross-contamination, when prepping raw meat and ready-to-eat foods, a food handler should. So to prevent cross-contamination, a food handler should do what before they start using meat to hamburger, to chicken, to lettuce, and then go over and cut bread? What do you got to do to that surface? Should we clean and sanitize the work surface between each product? Or should we just wear gloves and wipe off that cutting board? Common sense on that one, Brendan?
Yes.
I'm going with you got to clean and sanitize the work surfaces between each stage of production. Agree or disagree? I agree. Good man. Put agree. That's it. We're getting to the real meat of the issue here now. All right, this is great stuff. The correct way to scoop ice for a customer's beverage. Common mistake in restaurants is to what? Use an ice scoop or take the cup and put it in. Brendan, correct way to scoop ice out of a big ice machine.
No, because I feel like both would have their downsides, or both have I'm going to say I don't know on this one. I'm sorry.
Okay, I would hope on an old school ice scoops on old school ice machines that you really don't see much anymore. There is a scoop. You got to use the scoop and put it into the cup versus taking the cup and scooping it into the ice.
Would that be because your hand goes into the ice?
Yes,
All right.
glasses chip.
Okay.
There's been a lot of research done where somebody would take an ice machine and shut it off and melt it down and see what's in the screens, and you find things in the screens like rings and fingernails and bacteria. So the answer to that would be use ice scoops. Where should wiping cloths be stored when not in use? So we're in the labs, you're in your kitchen, you got a cloth. Where are you going to put it? You just clean something? Am I going to put it down there? Am I going to hold it into some sanitizing solution, those little buckets, and hold it in there till I need it next? Or should I just leave it on the counter? Brendan, what are you going to do with that dishcloth?
I would typically leave it in an area for it to dry out. Probably hang it somewhere.
Hanging, probably not. They're saying wish it to be held. Now, technically, which is tough, you could, in our labs at school, we have little buckets, and there's sanitizing water in there, and that's where you should leave the cloth when you're not using it. You pick it up, you strain it out, wipe the tables, put it back in there. Do that a few times before you got to change the water. I'm sure 90% of households, I would say, when you get done that cloth, like I do, you put it into the sink. But in an institutional restaurant type setting, they should be holding that cloth in some sanitizing solution between wipe downs of the table or wiping things in the kitchen.
I have learned something today.
Very good, very good. So in sanitizing solution, agree. Number 30, juice from raw ground beef has dripped onto a pan of whole strawberries. What should the food handler do? Should you set the pan of strawberries aside and ask the manager what to do? Or should you just wipe off the raw ground beef juice, wipe it off, and use it? What are you thinking?
I would personally get rid of the strawberries because they are now contaminated with whatever is in that.
Correct.
Beef juice.
Correct. I agree with you on that. You should set those strawberries aside. Well, in a house situation, when you get your food and put it in the refrigerator, you should put the meats at the bottom of the refrigerator. This is my invisible refrigerator. I'm looking in. I got my hamburgers. You should put that hamburger on the bottom. So if it drips, it's not dripping from the top onto things such as strawberries. And we've all done that. We're all guilty of that. But if you think about it, if you're defrosting something or any hamburger, you don't want to put it on the top because it may drip through, okay, and contaminate all your foods. Okay? So set the pan aside and then ask the manager what to do if you're in a restaurant situation or if you're at your home. Use your common sense. Do you think that stuff dripped? Oh, there's some moisture on top. Oh, it looks red or it looks clear. Yeah, don't be digging into those strawberries or whatever it dripped into. Bad food handling. We'll talk more about food storage as we move through the program. 31. Where should cleaning supplies and chemicals be stored? In a separate area or in a separate area, separate cabinet in your kitchen and away from the foods, or right where you're cooking? Common sense, I think, on this one would say you should keep your chemicals underneath the sink, away from your foods. Agree or disagree, Brendan?
I completely agree.
Agree is correct. Oh, went the wrong way. Okay, we're doing great. 32. What are three of the big 8 food allergens? What has most allergens? What people are allergic to? Eggs, wheat or fish, onion, broccoli, or potatoes? Brendan, where do you think most allergens come from? Most food poison.
Or, I forget.
Fish, yep.
Choice.
I agree with you on that. So everyone, do you agree that what are the big 8 allergens? What are the 3 most common ones? Egg, wheat, and fish. A lot of allergens from that. 32. A customer with a milk allergy is served a slice of pie with ice cream. What should the food service person do? Prep a new dessert by placing a different slice of pie on a clean, sanitized plate and serve it, or scoop the ice cream off the plate and wipe it down and then serve them the pie. What would a bad food handler do on that? Okay? Obviously, if you know someone's allergic to somebody and there's peanuts or something on top of it or whipped cream, you want to get a completely new service of that product in a restaurant setting. Or in a setting at home, if you know one of your family members or friends has a thing, you accidentally put peanuts on somebody that has a peanut allergy, you just can't pick them off and serve it. Okay? It's already touched it, and it may be bad. 34. Surfaces that touch foods must be, I'm going to go with clean and sanitized. And another one is rinsed only or cleaned only. Okay, like we talked before. 34, surfaces that touch foods. What do you got to do to it? Brendan?
I would say completely clean and sanitize.
Clean and sanitize your stuff. Absolutely. You don't know who's touched your stuff. You don't know what it's touched. Clean and sanitize. Clean and sanitize. Agree. Answer would be agree. Cleaned and sanitized. 35. What is the first step when cleaning and sanitizing correctly? Oh my God, I got crumbs all over my surface. I'm going to spray the liquid on there, the cleaning detergent, and wipe it. Good or bad idea, Brendan?
I'd say bad.
Bad. You got to clean the surface before you can sanitize the surface. Right? This is clean. Clean means visually clear. Sanitize means clear, free of germs. Makes sense? So me and Brendan are both going to say first step when cleaning and sanitizing correctly is remove food from the surface. Boom. Good one. 36. Why is it important to leave sanitizer on a surface from the correct? Why is it important to leave a sanitizer on a surface the correct amount of time? Each sanitizing spray that you use, you have to spray it on. You got to leave it on the clean surface. You just can't wipe it right off. Why? To reduce pathogens on the surface to safe levels, or to make sure the surface is clean. Brendan?
I would say make sure the surface is clear of pathogens.
Exactly. So, before I started the show today, I came over here and I sprayed this clean table, to sanitize it. I let it sit for 15, 20 seconds, and then you wipe it off. You get a better, cleaner, more sanitized area if you let that cleaner sit before you start sanitizing it. So the answer is to reduce pathogens on the surface to safe levels. Agree, and agree. 37. What should a dishwasher do to make sure the sanitizer is effective? Should you use the test kit to check the sanitizer's strength? Or don't even bother about sanitizer? Brendan, what should you do?
Given the two choices, I would do the first choice, check the cleaning kits first.
Yes, very good. Thank you. There are some test kits like we do in a pool. They have these little strips. You dip it into the water, and you get the quick reading of all your levels, and if your water is good. A well-executed or well-calibrated dishwasher should be putting in that at a correct amount. Okay? Very good. 38. Pests can cause what two types of contamination? If you have some ants or some bugs, what kind of contamination is that? Is that a physical and biological, or is that a nutritional and physical problem?
I would have to go with physical and biological.
Yes, very good, Brendan. You are very knowledgeable. We got two more to go. So I would agree that physical and biological problems can be caused, pests can cause in your kitchen. A lot of different ways you can have bad things happen in the kitchen, and pests are one of them. What must the third compartment, 39, in a 3-compartment sink be filled with? In our labs, we use 3 compartments. We have water, soapy water at 110 degrees. The next one is rinse water. The next one we have a bucket with sanitizer water. So what must the third compartment be filled with? Water and sanitizer, or water alone? You're doing the dishes the old-fashioned way, Brendan. Are you going to have that third compartment filled with water and sanitizer, or you're going to get it just water alone as you?
Just water alone, please.
Well, Brendan, the last thing you should do is to sanitize it in a 3-sink sanitizer if you're in that situation. So I'm swaying you over on number 39 to that last sink has got to have water and sanitizer in it. Okay? Agree with me on that. Agree with me, you culinary king, you. Very okay. So that's true. And again, in our labs at school, we have 2 sinks, and then excuse me, brother. We have 2 sinks, and then we have a large container. One of your sinks, as you know, and as we've talked about, is filled up with hot soapy water at 110 degrees. The next sink is filled up with regular hot water. So you're scrubbing, rinsing in clear water, and then you're dipping it into the sanitizing solution water, and then you're laying it to dry airtight. I mean, not airtight, you're letting it to dry in the air upside down. Dishwashing is a pain in the tuchus, but so important. You start out clean by sanitizing your stuff. You end your thing by sanitizing your stuff. Their way, you're going to be good in the intestines. You're not going to be infected with any bacteria, hopefully, known as food poisoning. But boy, that's a show for another time. But we're talking about food poisoning a lot because all these can cause food poisoning if these procedures are not carried out. Or not procedures, standards. Basic standards when we're handling food. Finally, number 40, after how many hours of constant use must a food contact surface area be cleaned and sanitized? Okay, Brandon, you're as your side hustle, as the kids would call it, you're prepping at a restaurant and you're chopping up that chicken for 2 hours or 4 hours. But I think you gotta clear that board and clean it and get a new one, even though it's the same product.
2 hours?
You're working. You're just about ready to get your break. The answer would be 4 hours. Agree with Mr. G on that one. And here's a bonus question for you, number 41. How long can food sit out in the food danger zone before it starts going bad? Got some American cheese. I'm going to put it right here. It's probably, 80 degrees in this room. Okay? After how many hours is that bread or that food not sitting at 135 degrees, sitting out, going to start growing? 2, 4, or 6 hours would you leave that potato salad out before you're concerned? Brendan, quick one. This is the quickie round. You win the championship. 2, 4, or 6.
I would say 2. I would never leave food out that long.
Absolutely, you are correct. All right, agree with 2 hours. 2 hours. Wow. I want to thank you guys, the students. I want to thank the people at home just watching, having fun. Be safe around your food. Respect your food. Be happy. I want to thank my good friend, Brendan, for playing along today. I appreciate that very, very much. I appreciate all the people that do shows here on Manchester Public Television. A lot of fun. We do it to entertain, to inform. So there you go. Okay, I want to thank all my friends, family, and loved ones, and the people that watch the show. If you're taking my class now, take that. Make sure you got your name, date, period, that you're taking my class. Okay, very good. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much for watching. Nice show.
Family and consumer science.
Mr. Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight. Never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed. Chew with your mouth closed. Get your elbows off the table. This ain't a horse, David.